Hey YouTube, today we're going to be taking a look at one of my favorite MA chassis designs or covers of all time, and also going through one of my favorite MA chassis setups of all time. This setup is not competitive. It's not competitive. You won't win races of this. I don't believe this is BMAX legal because it has a polycarbonate body, but nevertheless you can just always swap it if you want to. But nevertheless, this is just a very fun build that you can just swap motors, have fun, play, and it performs decently well. So the base kit of this is the Festa Orange Special. This is a very nice kit. It's basically, for lack of a better words, it's basically a special version of this. This is just the regular version. I believe a lot of people still like this just because it kind of looks like a proper car, in my opinion. It's very ordinary, very common. These things are still sold everywhere. They're typically not that expensive. That's 65 Hong Kong dollars. So this thing is not very expensive at all. And there's also other special versions like this. This is the Black Special. This is something that I collected a long time ago. I really like the design, and it also comes with upgraded hard tires, which is pretty cool. The body is also kind of like translucent. There's also another version that I have over here, which is the gold metallic. This one kind of looks a little bit strange, but the strange thing is also it comes with carbon reinforced tires, which is kind of odd because it already comes with these kind of gold rims, and yet it comes with this kind of strange. Back then, when you buy these gold metallic kits, they sometimes come with like special stuff. So, and for this kit is also pretty special because not only does it come with this polycarbonate body that's carbon printed with this pattern over here, so it can't be erased. It's very, very cool, but it also comes with super hard, low profile tires. So it already comes with super hard tires, and they're installed here already. You can see it right there. And it also has the Festa Juane labeled on it as well. So this is what it looks like for the regular super hard tires that you can normally buy. This is a super hard tire on my FMA chassis. This is the Gunbuster. Right, that's what it normally looks like. A bit wordy, but it looks very cool in my opinion. And this is what the Festa one looks like. I personally think the Festa one looks a little bit better just because it's not as wordy and not as covered up. But that's just my personal opinion. And the other cool thing for this kit, of course, is that it comes with an orange body. So this is super cool. Now, some of the bits inside over here is white, like the cover and the battery cover and some of this other stuff. I swapped it out with the Robo Racer one, which is the reason why the internals of mine is orange. Because I just wanted like a full orange internal. It doesn't really matter that much because once you have the cover on, you basically cannot see the internals anyways. But I just swapped them just because I have that kit, happen to have it available. So that's basically what the original kit is. Just a quick summary of it. It's pretty cool. You do have to cut the polycarbonate body out yourself. Just use a small pair of scissors. And when you cut it, you'll realize something, that there's actually a lot of space in the back. You can actually move the rear piece further into the car to shorten your roller base, which is very cool. Plenty of space for the knock nuts and stuff like that, so that's pretty cool. The front also has plenty of space as well. You can actually push the cover down even on the lock nuts, because unlike the regular ABS bodies where if you push it onto a lock nut, it can't physically go any further, this polycarbonate body has a bit of flex to it. So therefore, when you're pressing it on a lock nut, as long as you're not applying like a lot of pressure to it, it will basically flex around it, like as you can see over here. So basically, it gives you a bit more flexibility at the front, even though the nature of these kinds of bodies covers up a lot of the front, which limits your ability to mount weights. It gives you a bit more flexibility nevertheless. Like I can angle this plate, for example, very aggressively, and I can still use these lock nuts, and I can put this body on just fine. So this is kind of cool, but like most MA bodies, like I mentioned earlier, you're kind of limited in what you can mount at the front. Like you can't do something like this. This is a DCR-01, and I have weights at the front over here because there's plenty of space. This thing basically covers nothing. Like this cover covers nothing. and the DCR02. It's a very narrow V shaped at the front here, so you can see the body itself. It covers nothing, right? So therefore, you can mount weights basically wherever you want. Whereas on this, you basically are stuck using slimline weights, which is those weights that are just very, very tiny. And you can basically put them here. You can also sometimes mount them here, depending on what rollers you're using. But yeah, just be aware that's kind of the case for most MA chassis anyways. Other than that, that's basically the general kit itself. Building and assembling it, just follow the instructions. It's very, very easy. The sticker job wasn't any harder or easier on this. I didn't feel like there was anything worth noting. It felt pretty normal. Just apply your stickers very carefully. Underneath here is where the mounting point for the cover is. So let me just quickly take this off. You can see that this is where this is the parts itself that you normally interact with when you lock the car. The back side over here, when you lock it with this piece, and this is the front part that indexes into this chassis over here. Now this is a little bit strange. This part can move a lot. It can sometimes move a bit forward and a little bit rearward. So basically sometimes when I put this on, I feel like it won't slot in properly. However, what I do is that I angle it back just a little bit like this. You can see I moved it back. Right? I just moved it back a little bit just by touching it a little bit. And then I can angle the piece into the slot again, and then install the cover into my MA chassis just fine. So it just requires a bit of, not finesse, but it's just a strange thing to note whenever you have to index the cover back onto the chassis itself. I thought that was something that was strange. I don't own many polycarbonate bodies, and I had an open class once, but I don't really recall having this issue, so I thought that was a bit strange. You can see the two screws for the rear piece over here. You can paint them black if you want to, just really depends on what you want to do. Now, as for the setup, this setup is one of my favorite setups for MA chassis, because this is basically what I do when I want to have fun. I just want to bring one car only, and just swap out the motors whenever I want to, and just try and play around with different types of motors and just have fun. This is, for lack of a better words, this is like a safety build. 13 millimeters at the front, 13 millimeter double aluminum rollers, and 19 millimeter rear. It's considered somewhat of a standard or regular build, I think. I think people still consider this to be standard because there's literally nothing special about this. I mounted the 19 millimeter on the 19 millimeter holes. I'm using a 13 millimeter double aluminum roller. This is very common. There's nothing particularly special about here. It's very safe. It doesn't corner particularly fast, but you can run this fairly safely. I want to say on most tracks. Ultimately, it'll depend on the track that you're using. It'll also depend on what motor and stuff you're using, but for me, this particular setup runs good enough as it is. I run this on HyperDash sometimes. I use MacDash on it, but I primarily use TorqueTune 2. TorqueTune 2 accelerates pretty well. It's not quite as fast as HyperDash or MacDash, of course, but TorqueTune 2 is faster than LightDash on like a lot of long runs. So sometimes I just want a lightweight, speedy car, and TorqueTune 2 basically does the job for that. So that's the reason why I run it. 6 laps. How about that? 1, 2, 3, go. this is the setup. This is the front piece over here. Is the carbon fiber piece for the rear. And the reason why you mount it at front is so that you can have these two areas sit here, add a washer, and then you can angle the plate a little bit, just a little bit. And this helps with the lane changes. It helps keep the car, the front of the car pushed down a little bit. So that's the reason why you do that. And then I use two lock nuts over here at the front just to secure it. And then through the bottom, I have one of those new high-grade carbon fiber stays. And that's what I'm using as my brake. I use a blue brake. It's a very, very large piece of foam. The only reason why you buy these brake plates is so that you can mount a very large piece of foam. And that's basically what I do. I cover up the front just to protect it from peeling off. And this is just basically what I do. Back when I was a kid, we didn't have these kinds of brake plates. Like this brake plate didn't exist. So if you don't want to do this, or if you don't want to buy it, you can just buy two of these popsicle sticks, stick them together, and just I use a countersunk screw and then I put it over there. So you can, I'll just quickly peel this off. There, you can see it right there. That's the countersunk screw. So I just countersunk screw, and there's another screw here that you have to kind of countersunk but offset it a little bit, and you can stack both of them together, and therefore you have your brake at the front. You don't have to do this. You can also use, this is a Japan Cup 2025 front piece that I mounted at the bottom for my brake plate, because this is a slow car. So this is really all the brake I need. There's many different ways that you can solve your brakes. You can just do whichever one suits you. I just use this just because, like, I bought the piece already, I might as well use it. These double aluminum rollers, this is the 13 millimeter, it's 12 on the top, 13 millimeter at the bottom. I did not invert any of them. This is just the regular method of installing them. And this is the stabilizer, high mount tube stabilizer set. This comes in black, and you tape it so that when it scrapes against the wall, there's slightly less friction. So this is the reason why you tape it. You don't have to tape it, but that's what I do. And the side mounts, these are just the bowl dampeners on the carbon fiber side stay with one of these flat pieces on top. This is all the weights I need. That being said, if you're running a very technical track, this probably won't do super well. Just be wary of that, because if you ever have short jumps, this thing might have some issues. Right now, clearing lane changes on this, it can clear it and the car won't get stuck. But that being said, I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, this is not a competitive build. This is purely for fun. You'll have fun with it, and that's about it. It runs decently fast, and it's also relatively safe, and I'll go over that part in a second. So I countersunk the screws, even for this area over here, so that nothing will get hooked. So overall, every area over here is relatively flat, and there's nothing it can really get caught on. So yeah, the sides are pretty ordinary. Use heavier weights if you feel like you need them. I carry weights, these mass dampeners, when I need them, but for the most part, this is what I use. It seems to be enough for me. These are carbon reinforced wheels that I'm using with the super hard tires. I'm using carbon reinforced because I broke the original orange ones. As long as you don't break them, you can use the original ones. No particular reason for using this other than the fact that I ruined the original ones. That's the reason why this is here. You don't have to. For the rear piece, I'm using four 19 millimeter star-shaped orange ringed rollers. These rollers, they generally work pretty well. 19 millimeter rollers for the rear is considered a very safe setup. It's because it basically makes the rear very controlled. It tends to be it tends to jump quite straight typically, just because the rear is very in control, and the front is normally people use like 13 millimeters front, and then just mix and match exactly how they want to set it up. Some people will flip the roller so that the 13mm side will contact the wall earlier and push the car down. But the 19mm rear, I would say this is nothing special. A lot of people do 19mm still. You can use the ringless one. I have not seen people use the one with the O-ring, because I believe that one slows the car down, whereas this one's meant to be faster, and then the aluminum one's meant to be balanced. I use these ring ones just because they seem to corner a bit better. If you're using a long roller base, I tend to use the ringed ones just because they seem to help. This is like when I was a kid, like even back in 2005, 2006, people were already using these things anyways. So I believe it's a relatively safe setup. But the main thing over here is that when I was using MA chassis when I was a kid, you can use whatever rear piece you want. You can use the regular rear carbon fiber piece. You don't have to use this piece. It's just something I had. But after you use that, make sure you have a rear underguard for the 19mm setup. And the reason why is because you don't want to hit these. You hit these, you can bend these. You can bend them, and you can destroy them. Very difficult, but possible. So typically people will have a piece to protect it. So this is what it looks like on this is an FMA body, and when I was a kid, people would use a this is just Japan Cup 2021, but you can use like any carbon fibers or FRP has this shape to it, like a general shape of where you have like your 19mm hole and stuff like that. And basically what you do is that as long as you have it at the bottom and kind of like here, it will protect the 19mm roller from when it hits the track. It'll just kind of bounce off this instead of getting caught or hitting this at an angle, which can kind of ruin it. You also don't need to use any like a stronger screw just because of the fact that you kind of protect it over here already. And this also serves as another thing, which that it also prevents the car from getting caught. So if it flies, it cannot catch here. It cannot get caught on the fence. If I leave this to hang over here, it will just roll off because it cannot catch. And after the car, because it's heavy on this side, because this side is light, right? It'll just tilt and just slide right off. And then the rollers over here, these are just the longer screws with the bull weights. So this basically keeps the rear in check and prevents it from bouncing as much. And this is my setup. I'll run a few clips of how this car runs. It's just that on lane changers, this thing doesn't perform extremely well, because if I go in a very fast lane change, it can kind of float in the air a little bit. But this rear underguard has protected me many times. It will basically just roll off the side of the edge. I think this has protected me like 20 times already, and I just got back into playing, and this underguard setup has always been something that just works really well. Because MA chassis tend to get caught a lot, and this is just something that you can do to basically completely get rid of that, and this is very, very cool. I use these on a loop batteries. These are the 1900 milliamp. No particular reason for using this other than it's an easily rechargeable battery that I could easily buy. So that's the only reason why I use them. I've never used any of the Neo Champs. I've never used the official Tamiya ones before. When I play BMAX in some stores with my friends, they're perfectly fine with us using these kinds of batteries. I don't know anything else, so that's just what I use. Use them if you're allowed to. Just make sure you check your local BMAX rules. And since we're here, I suppose we'll check the clearance as well. Yeah, so I have plenty of space. Plenty of space. Right. I can move side to side. There's plenty of space side to side. Yeah, there's nothing special about this setup. It's very ordinary, but it's easy to have a lot of fun. You can run Hyper Dash on certain setups. You can run Mac Dash if you're on a big 5-laner. You can run Light Dash if you really want to. Light Dash is maybe for if there's a lot of dragon backs where acceleration is a problem, then I'll use Light Dash. I use Torque Tune, like I said, because the top speed on Torque Tune 2 is pretty good, accelerates pretty well. Torque Tune 2 is my favorite motor. It's very easygoing. It's very beginner friendly. Hyper Dash is if you want to go fast and you're experienced at controlling your technicals, then you can go Hyper Dash if you want to. But for me, I run Hyper Dash only when I feel like there's an opportunity to run it. Like if there's too many short jumps, you can't run it. Then I would go Light Dash, Torque Tune 2, or even Atomic Tuned. If there's plenty of space to go fast, then I'll use Hyper Dash or Mac Dash. And the brake settings I use varies depending on the setup, but I'm mostly going to stick with this. Blue at the front. People sometimes use white at the rear. I ran out of white sponges. That's the reason why there's a black one here. You can see I taped off almost all of it. And then this, it's because you don't need much brakes on a Torque Tune 2. You only really need it for short jumps. But that's the entire setup. It's a bit of a rambly video. I'm really passionate about MA chassis, and I really like MA chassis in general. And this is one of my favorite, like, mini 4WD designs. I just really like it. And I hope you guys like it too. Let me know what you guys think at the end of the video. And let me know if you guys want to see other review videos or other rambly videos, if you guys like that. Peace.